What's up, Falcons Nation? It's your boy Jew coming at you with another Atlanta Falcons video. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up. In today's video, I do want to talk about the pregame predictions between our Atlanta Falcons and the Minnesota Vikings. But if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you'll know when I've done Atlanta Falcons content. Hit that like button for your boy. Let's continue to grow this thing. I appreciate you guys. To all you guys who have recently subscribed and all of you guys who've been rocking with me since day one. I do it for you guys. I will continue to bring you guys great Atlanta Falcons content, but I appreciate your continued support. All of the ones that continue to comment on my videos. I appreciate all of you guys, man. But with that being said, let's jump right into the video. So as I was stating before, I do want to go ahead and do my pregame predictions for Sunday's game, which is a 1:00 game. This is an away game for our Atlanta Falcons. We will be going up north to Minneapolis to take on the Minnesota Vikings tomorrow at 1 p.m. I'm definitely looking forward to the game. First, I want to talk about the injury report as always, and then we're going to jump into some keys to victory for defeating the Minnesota Vikings. So first off with our Atlanta Falcons, Pat McKinley will not play in this game. He's still battling that groin injury. At this point, I've pretty much given up on Pat McKinley at this point. If he comes back at some point this year, I'll be happy to have him back. But he's been injury prone ever since he's been on the Atlanta Falcons. At this point, if we can trade Pat McKinley and possibly get anything back for him, any type of draft capital at this point, I don't care if it's even a 5th or 6th round pick, any draft capital you could get back for Pat McKinley or anything you can possibly get back for Pat McKinley at this point would be good for me or good enough for us. Like I said, he's been hurt majority of his career with our Atlanta Falcons. And this season, he's basically been hurt pretty much the whole season. He played the first game against Seattle, and he got injured week 2 against the Dallas Cowboys, and he hasn't been able to come back since then. I think he played a couple snaps last game, and he went right back out the game with that groin injury. So at this point, Tack is not one of those guys that we can count on. As I always say, the best ability is availability. If you can't be available, it doesn't matter how big of an impact player you are if you're never on the field. So at this point, I'm kind of done with Tack. I don't never throw any players away. I don't ever want to down any players or anything like that. But at this point, I just feel like, we can't rely on Tack. So, if we can trade him and possibly get some draft capital back for him, I would love for the Falcons to go ahead and do that. But in other injury news, not only will Pat McKinley be out, but Marlon Davidson and John Kaminsky, both of those guys are in the COVID protocol. So both of those guys will not play in tomorrow's game against the Minnesota Vikings. Both of those guys are on the COVID list. So those are 2 other players on our defense that is already shorthanded that we won't have on our defensive line. So that could be huge for us. Deidre Sanat is a player that possibly is going to get more snaps in this game, and hopefully he can prove himself and he can actually come in and show us some things. Now, in other injury news as well, far as the Minnesota Vikings side of things, Dalvin Cook will not play in this game. And he is the star running back for the Minnesota Vikings. He has a groin injury as well, just like Pat McKinley. And he's basically the biggest player that will be out for their team. Their star defensive end, Daniil Hunter, he's another guy that actually got injured for the season. So he will not play in this game. He's a great defensive end for the Minnesota Vikings. He's out in this game. And then Anthony Barr is another guy who plays that linebacker position, but he's like a hybrid. He's also a guy that they bring off the edge, kind of like an outside linebacker, defensive end / defensive end. He actually got hurt for the season as well. So Minnesota is one of those teams that's kind of like our Atlanta Falcons, where they're battling a lot of injuries. So they'll be down a couple of their star players in this game. So I'm definitely looking forward to this game. And I want to go into some keys to victory for winning this game against Minnesota. Um, Now, one big thing that for Atlanta Falcons that I didn't mention as far as the injuries is also Julio Jones. Supposedly will play in this game, which is big for Atlanta Falcons. It'd be great to have Julio Jones back because he is one of those guys that's very explosive, as you know. And to me, he's the best wide receiver in the game. And when he's out there, our offense looks totally different because Julio Jones is one of those guys pretty much that's an unstoppable force at that wide receivers position. And him and Matt Ryan, they just have that great chemistry together. And they're two of the probably one of the best tandems in the game. Definitely a top 5 quarterback to receiver tandem. So it's going to be great having Julio Jones back, especially if he's healthy. Julio Jones is definitely one of those guys that can blow a game open. We remember against Carolina Panthers a couple years ago, he had 300 yards receiving by himself. So he is one of those guys that's a nuclear weapon when he's healthy. So I'll be happy to have Julio Jones back out there on the field because our team and our passing game has struggled the last 2 games without Julio actually being out there, especially in the red zone. So I definitely think that having Julio Jones back in this game is going to be big. But I want to jump right into some keys to victory for defeating the Minnesota Vikings. The first thing for defeating Minnesota in this game, you want to make them one-dimensional. I said every week, the defensive line has to get pressure on Kirk Cousins, and we have to do a good job of stopping the run. Now, I did mention that Dalvin Cook will be out this game, who is the star running Minnesota, and they will turn to their backup running back, Alexander Madison. He's a guy that's kind of like a poor man's Dalvin Cook. If you've seen the game last week on Sunday Night Football against the Seattle Seahawks, when Dalvin Cook went down with that groin injury in that game, Alexander Madison, who's been on that team for about 2 or 3 years now, came right in the game, and he looked really good in that game against the Seattle Seahawks. So we definitely can't sleep on this guy, Alexander Madison. He's a guy that runs very hard. He pretty much can do everything that Dalvin Cook can do. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, and he's a guy that runs hard and breaks tackles and is very shifty, and he runs with force when he runs downhill. So we have to be prepared for this kid. We can't sleep on this kid. Kind of like last game when we played against that kid, Mike Davis, for the Panthers. Last week, he ran wild on our Atlanta Falcons. So we definitely have to be prepared to stop the run in this game. We must do a better job of tackling in this game. We have to be better at first contact. When we make contact with the running backs and the wide receivers, we have to be on our P's and Q's to make sure that we're crossing every T and dotting every I. And we can't allow Alexander Madison and whoever else they have that's going to be running the football. We can't allow those guys to get yardage after contact. We have to limit the yardage after contact. We have to do a better job at gang tackling, as I talked about last week in my video. We have to gang tackle in this game. We can't allow a bunch of yards after contact because that's what's really been killing our Atlanta Falcons this season. We haven't been doing a good job of tackling in this game. The Falcons, we are a team that runs a lot of cover 3 and zone coverages because we don't have good enough corners at this point with all the injuries in the secondary. We don't have good enough corners to play man-to-man across the board. We seen last week when they tried to run man-to-man, Isaiah Oliver was burnt by DJ Moore down the sideline on a simple in and out route, where it was about a 3 or 4 yard route, and it ended up turning out to be like a 60-yard touchdown just from an in and out move. So we definitely have to be prepared in this game. We have to do a good job of tackling. We're going to play a ton of zone the rest of the year unless we can get Darqueze Dennard back from the injury. Until we have AJ Terrell, Darqueze Dennard, and Kendall Sheffield as the top 3 corners, we can't play a ton of man-to-man coverage because Isaiah Oliver is just that bad in coverage, and we really don't have a ton of guys that can play man-to-man. AJ Terrell and Kendall Sheffield right now are pretty much the only guys, and Ricardo Allen, those guys are the only ones that really can play man-to-man coverage at this point. Bleedy Way is not the best in man-to-man coverage, and Isaiah Oliver has been god awful so far this year in man-to-man coverage and in zone coverage. To be honest, he's been awful pretty much on both ends of the spectrum. So in this game, we're definitely going to have to do a great job of gang tackling, limiting yardage after contact, and doing a good job when we do play that zone coverage of coming down and limiting the yardage after catch. Because with us playing this zone coverage, it leaves a lot of yardage, or it leaves a lot of wide receivers and running backs open in the flats. And, teams are going to be able to throw the ball underneath. We just have to do a good job of coming up and making a tackle, making the tackles and limiting yardage after catch. Now, one of my second keys to victory in this game is going to be running the football and controlling the football. We have to do a better job in this game of controlling the ball. Todd Gurley and Brian Hill, both of those guys have played very well this season. Todd Gurley actually had his best game of the season last week against the Panthers. He did an excellent job. He had over 100 yards rushing in the first half, and he had a breakaway run for about, I believe it was about a 50-yard touchdown run or 60-yard touchdown run against Carolina, where he basically took the handoff and took it up the sideline. So Todd Gurley has shown that he still has a lot left in the tank. Him and Brian Hill has done a great job protecting the football and not fumbling the ball. And they've done a great job when they've gotten their opportunities. And when we stuck to the running game, those guys have done a great job this season so far of running the rock for us. So if I'm Dirk Cutter in this offense, I would consistently, run that ball, tire out the other defense, allow your offensive line to impose their will on the Minnesota defense. Like I said, Minnesota is kind of shorthanded as well in their on their defensive side of the ball, especially on the defensive line. They're really shorthanded right now, so we should take advantage of that. And then on that back end, they're very young in the secondary. They do have Harrison Smith, who's one of the better safeties in the game, and Anthony Harris. Both of those guys are a pretty good tandem at safety, and those are their playmakers on the defensive side of the ball on the back end. But the kid Cameron Dantzler, who's a rookie corner that they drafted, and Jeff Gladney, the corner out of TCU. Both of those guys are rookies, so they're really young on the back end. They don't no longer have Xavier Rhodes, who was a long-time corner for them. He no longer plays for their team. So they're really, really young in that secondary, and they're really shorthanded on the defensive line. They also no longer have Linval Joseph, who is a big nose tackle. He actually signed with the LA Chargers in the offseason. So they are kind of soft up the middle of that defense. They do still have Kendricks, who's a great linebacker, Eric Kendricks. He's a Pro Bowler style linebacker at that middle linebacker position. He's one of those guys that makes plays all over the field, and he can run sideline to sideline and also come downhill and be a thumper. But I really think that we can take advantage of the Minnesota defense with not only running the ball, but running the ball with Todd Gurley and Brian Hill and setting up the play action in this game. Now, another key to victory in this game, my third key to victory for our Falcons is our coaching staff. As you know, we did, fire Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitroff after last game against Carolina. We did start 0-5, and those guys were let go. And now Raheem Morris have taken over the helm as the head coach. So I want to see if these guys are going to come out with more energy in this game, and see if they are willing to come out and play for Raheem Morris and be more accountable for that play. Dante Fowler actually talked about it in his media session this week, that Raheem Morris have kind of challenged these guys, have gotten in their faces and kind of got these guys upset. He's ruffled some feathers. So hopefully, the tactics that Raheem Morris is using, hopefully those guys come out and perform for him. Hopefully those guys play with more energy than they played with last week, because last week it was really bad. Mike Davis really embarrassed our defense, and pretty much the whole Carolina Panthers offense. Teddy Bridgewater had all day to throw the football, and guys just didn't look motivated. So hopefully these guys come out in this game. At this point, we have nothing to lose. So hopefully these guys come out with a different attitude and they come out and perform. As I was stating before, now that Dan Quinn is out of the picture, these guys really have to come with it. It's no longer any favoritism because the Dan Quinn guys that are out there, the guys that Dan Quinn drafted and the guys that Dan Quinn trusted, it's no longer any more favoritism with Dan Quinn being let go. Now all of these guys are actually auditioning to try to be on the Falcons, not just the rest of this season, but for seasons to come. Especially those guys that were on their last year, like Keanu Neal, like DeMonte Casey before he got injured. A lot of these guys are on 1-year deals. Darquez Denard, who's injured. Pat McKinley is actually in his last season of his contract because we didn't pick up his 5th-year option. So a lot of these guys have a lot to prove. I do expect our Falcons to come out and play with some grit because Raheem Morris is one of those guys that is a gritty guy. He's a guy that's very defensive oriented, defensive minded. When he came into the league, he was a defensive backs coach. He's coached some great defensive backs like Aqib Talib when he was in Tampa Bay. And he's molded a lot of good defensive backs. He coached D'Angelo Hall when he was in Washington. So he's coached a lot of guys, a lot of playmakers. He's coached a lot of great defenses. So we're going to see if these guys come out and perform. I want to see if Raheem Morris is going to enter a new game plan. I want to see if he's going to do some new things and add some new wrinkles on the defensive side of things. If he's going to just run a lot of cover 3, or is he going to mix it up and blitz sometimes? If he is he going to mix it up and have this Atlanta Falcons defense playing more aggressive? Now with the changes that took place in the coaching staff, now Jeff Ulbrich is now the defensive coordinator, so it may be up to him. But I believe him and Raheem Morris, both of those guys work hand in hand. So I want to see if these guys come up with their own scheme. I know we're still going to play a lot of cover 3, but I want to see if we do a better job at disguising what we're doing. And I want to see if these guys actually are going to bring something new to the table, or are we going to do pretty much, have the same scheme or do the same stuff we were seeing when Dan Quinn was here. I want to see if these guys are going to be their own man, or if these guys are pretty much going to come out and do the same thing we've been doing, which basically at this point is kind of insanity when you continue to do the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I want to see if these guys, have the sense, and if these guys are going to go in and make adjustments. I want to see if Isaiah Oliver, I want to see if he's going to be held accountable, if he's going to be put on the bench, or see how these guys use these players, because the coaches' jobs are to, put these guys in the best position to be successful. So I want to see if they actually add some new wrinkles and do some things to make these guys feel a little bit more comfortable in the current scheme that we're playing. But with that being said, those are pretty much my keys to victory for our Atlanta Falcons in this game. Like I said, it's not, I don't think that the Minnesota Vikings are world beaters. I do think that the Falcons can beat any team really in the league. They proved that last year when we went to New Orleans and defeated New Orleans, and we went to San Francisco and we defeated San Francisco. So I do believe this Falcons team can beat any team in the league. If you look at the first 5 games, yeah, we're 0-5, but the team actually played well in maybe 3 out of the 5 games. We played pretty well against Seattle in that first game. We played really well in the game against the Cowboys in week 2. Week 3, we played really well against Chicago and should have won that game as well. In Green Bay, we didn't really play well at all because we had a ton of injuries and the offense just looked off the mark. They just didn't have it that night. And then last week against Carolina, we didn't play that bad in that game as well. We did have a chance at the end when Matt Ryan threw that pick. We did have a chance to still win that game. That game pretty much went down to the wire. So that pretty much says it all, that if we had Julio Jones last week against Carolina, most likely we're beating Carolina because they only beat us by a touchdown. And pretty much we didn't have all of our weapons. So if we get Julio Jones back, we're just saying he's going to play tomorrow against Minnesota. That makes a huge difference. That's like a 7-point swing right there because Julio Jones is one of those guys that opens up things for Calvin Ridley opens up things for Hayden Hurst and opens up things for Calvin Ridley. So, and Russell Gage, excuse me. So I really think that having Julio Jones is going to be big in this game. And I want our Falcons to come out, play very aggressive. Like I said, at this point, we have nothing to lose. We're 0-5. We only can go up from here. And now we have that dark cloud of Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitroff. You know, that actual dark cloud has been lifted. And now you have a whole new regime pretty much far as a head coach. You know, you do still have the guys that were here and assistants of Dan Quinn, but as far as their own mentality, I like what I'm hearing out of Raheem Morris about, you know, him talking about coming in and dominating the other team, making the other team want to quit. I really think that Raheem Morris is a great motivator, but I want to see if these guys buy into it or if these guys are still going to come out lackadaisical. It's going to show early in the game if those guys are playing with any type of emotion, if those guys actually really want to win a game, or if these guys are just out there basically collecting their paycheck and kind of have, you know, mailed it in or folded up like lawn chairs. So I'm really excited about the game. Like I said, I'm going to continue to bring you guys great content, but you guys let me know what you think about this game. Really quick, I wanted to talk a little bit about Minnesota. Like I was saying, they do have a pretty good running game with Alexander Madison. He's a guy that we have to look out for. I'm not too afraid of Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is one of those guys that will turn the ball over, but they do have some good receivers with Adam Thielen and the kid, I believe his name is Jordan Jefferson, if I'm not mistaken. But he was the kid out of LSU that they drafted. He's a rookie that plays for Minnesota as well at the wide receiver position. Both of those guys are really good. And they have two really good tight ends with Irv Smith and with Kyle Rudolph, who's a longtime veteran tight end for that team. So they do have some weapons there in Minnesota. But the main guys you kind of want to look out for in this game is the kid Alexander Madison at the running back position. And then Adam Thielen, on the outside, he runs great routes. And he's one of the guys that's kind of slept on in the league, is one of the better wide receivers. And this kid Jefferson has showed me some things. He was a great college player last year at LSU, helping LSU win the national championship. But I want to see, you know, how well our Falcons match up with these guys. But those are some of the guys that you want to look out for in this game if you're the Atlanta Falcons. You know, Jordan Jefferson, Adam Thielen, and this kid Madison, and then Irv Smith and Kyle Rudolph. Those are the guys we have to look out for. Like I said, if you pressure Kirk Cousins, he'll turn the ball over. We just have to do a better job on first and second downs. We have to do a better job at limiting yardage on first and second down and try to put these guys in third and longs. So we can get these guys in third and longs and make the quarterback have to hold on to the ball a little bit longer. I think we will see more sacks and we will see more turnovers forced by our defense. But it's going to be big in this game for our defense to possibly get a turnover. That's another one of my keys to victory, and that's pretty much my last key to victory for our Falcons, is see if we can get a turnover. It's been a couple games since we've had a turnover. So if we can, you know, cause a fumble, if we can intercept the pass, that'll be big. Raheem Morris this week challenged you know, his star players. He challenged the leaders on this team, the Ricardo Allens of the world, the Deion Jones of the world, the Grady Jarretts. He challenged these guys to come out and make a statement, come out and lead your troops. You know, come out. We need just somebody to make a play because we've really been struggling on the defensive side of the things. Guys haven't been making plays, and this is a big game for us. If we can come out and get this win, we possibly can gain some momentum. I say it every week. If you can just get a win, winning cures all. The players will play more confident, you know, going forward, and they'll feel like that dark cloud, like I said, that's been hanging over the Falcons' head so far this season. That cloud will lift, and you'll see, you know, you'll see some brighter days if we can get this thing turned around. But like I was saying, this been your boy Jew. You let me know what you think about the video. Do you think our Atlanta Falcons can turn it around? Do you think that they can actually win a game? Because at this point, it's not really even about the playoffs. It's just about, let's see if we can win some games and string together a win streak, or maybe we can get back in the playoff race. Because right now, the Falcons, we're looking up to all of the teams in our division in the NFC South. All of the teams in our division right now are 3-2. The Panthers are 3-2, surprisingly. The Buccaneers are 3-2, and the New Orleans Saints are 3-2. So we're only 3 games behind all of those teams. And if we can start winning some games, all of those teams in the South all have difficult schedules, just like us, and they have some games on their schedule that they could possibly lose. So if we can string together some wins and a couple of those teams string together a losing streak, or they lose a couple games, we could possibly get back in the thick of things in not only the division, the NFC South division, but maybe even in the NFC playoff standings in general. So first, we just got to win one game. Let's see if we can come out, and let's see how these players show up tomorrow. But as I was saying, as I've been saying, this is your boy Jew. As always, you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that like button for your boy. I do appreciate you guys continuing to tune in. Leave your comments below if you have a question or if you have a statement. Minnesota Viking fans, if you view this video, please hit that subscribe button for your boy. I bring the most, I bring the facts and the stats. I don't, sugarcoat anything for the Atlanta Falcons or for any team or player. I just give you guys the straight facts. So you guys definitely hit that subscribe button for your boy. I appreciate you guys. You guys stay safe out there. This COVID-19 is still real, and it's starting to go around, in the league. So you guys definitely continue to keep wearing your masks. And also, before I get off this video, I just want to give my condolences to Von McClure, former Atlanta Falcons reporter who worked for ESPN. He's been with the Falcons for a very long time as a reporter. He actually was really young. He died at the age of 48 a couple of days ago. I didn't get a chance to get up here and do a video, but before this video, I ended up my video. I definitely wanted to just send my condolences to Von McClure's family. You guys definitely keep his family prayed up. And always, you never know what guys are going through and things of that nature. So, that's bigger than football at this point, that a life was lost. So I definitely want to just take my hats off to him and his family and wish those guys nothing but the best, wish his family nothing but the best. From what I've heard, because I don't know Von McClure that well, but from what I've heard, I do hear like from all of the Falcons coaches this week and out of all of the players, all of them had positive things to say about Von McClure. So I'm assuming that he was a stand-up guy. I did hear him, during media sessions asking questions and things of that nature. But from everybody who's come in contact with him, they had nothing but positive things to say about him. So definitely want to take my hats off to Von McClure before I end this video. You guys definitely keep his family in prayer and things of that nature. And as always, Falcons Nation, rise up. Peace and love. I'll holler at you guys in the next video. And as always, before I leave, hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button. I'll holler at you guys in the next video. Hopefully it's after Atlanta Falcons win. Usually after the game, me, Mad Mike, K-Styles, Atlanta Falcons Nation, we normally do a post-game show. So I'm pretty sure we'll do another post-game show tomorrow after the game. So you guys also tune into that. But with that being said, this has been your boy Jew. I'm out. Peace. All right.